then pull, and the paddle's gonna rotate. Okay, today's Tip Tuesday, we're gonna talk about the catch and what it means to have a patient catch. We just had our first 9-man race in Dana Point, the Whitey, this weekend, and the Broadcast Brothers did a nice broadcast of the race. You got a lot of good footage of the top Dana Point women's crew, as well as the top men's crews, including a couple masters, senior masters crews, Marina Del Rey, our Team Cal crew. And there was a lot of talk about patience on the catch, and you hear this from coaches all the time. I think most of the clubs are talking about patience on the catch. I'm a visual learner and been paddling for a long time, and I remember in the 80s these Germans did some studies where I looked at footage of the paddle underwater with a stationary camera from that perspective, and that's when I really learned a lot more about paddling. Most paddlers are used to seeing them paddle with a motorboat or something moving along next to the canoe, like the broadcast, and you're watching people paddle with a nice reach, a nice catch, and good follow through. But what you're not realizing is the importance of that patience on the catch, and what it means to have a patient catch. So, me being the mad scientist, I've created this little chart for you, putting 3 pins, a green for the bottom of the blade, black for the center of the blade, red for the top of the blade. Notice how close they are together, because the blade is half as long as a traditional blade. And you wonder, why does Dana Point women paddle at such a low rate and go so fast? Well, part of that key to their success is they have a very patient catch. And a lot of the top coaches, even Johnny Puakea, who's been working with those guys for a long time, he talks about that patience on the catch, right? So let's look at patience on the catch from the perspective of just the blade as it goes into the water and what it does when it gets into the water. I also have a blue pen, okay? Let's draw the water line first, okay? First of all, the water is never flat, so I'm not gonna try and be that straight, okay? But that is our water level, okay? Now, when you're paddling, most people extend out. If the paddle's at perpendicular here, most paddlers, good technique, you're gonna be at a positive 25 to 30 degree angle of the shaft, which with the additional 12 degree here is gonna put your blade at about a 40 degree angle when it goes into the water. Now, the nice thing about the Stingray is it does help you get the catch, because the catch happens twice as quick with the shorter blade. But let's just say, for the purpose of demonstration, that if you're not patient on the catch and you pull before you set the blade, so the boat's already up to speed, right? So we're moving. Now the blade's coming along in the recovery, it's gonna go in the water. Now, if you're not patient, if you're rushed, you are gonna start pulling back before the blade gets into the water, and it's gonna slip, okay? But then it's gonna rotate as we go by that submerged blade, and it's gonna come out like this, okay? So the blade is gonna move backwards slightly and come out slightly behind where it went in, okay? And that's gonna attribute to not having as good of distance per stroke, okay? So now we're gonna talk about somebody with a more patient catch to show you the difference. So hopefully you follow that. That's the bottom of the blade's motion, the center of the area of the blade, and the top of the blade, okay? It's gonna typically make a motion about like that if you've studied underwater analysis of what blades actually do in the water. So this is what it looks like to have a more patient catch. If you extend, you're patient, you drive that blade into the water, you're trying to actually submerge the paddle deep like this, then pull, and the paddle's gonna rotate, and then it's gonna, if you paddle well, you can almost get the blade to come out ahead of where it went in. I guarantee if you drive the blade in this deep, you're gonna get it to come out even farther ahead of where it went in. And that's what's gonna increase your distance per stroke. So you wonder, how come some people only paddle 9 to 10 feet per stroke in travel versus the people that are traveling 11, 12, 13 feet per stroke? It's because they're more patient, they're holding the water. There's all these terminologies different coaches use to demonstrate this, but this is kind of an exaggerated version of what actually happens. We're gonna do some underwater photography and try and share it with some of you guys, share some of it with you guys so you actually know what's going on. But I think this really helps some people maybe visualize, if you're mechanical like I am and trying to really understand what's going on with the stroke. It's something nobody really looks at very often. You know, we're so used to talking about what's going on above the water with our bodies and whatnot, but being a paddle designer, paddle maker, this is what I'm trying to demonstrate. So Hope this helps you guys. Get out there, be patient on the catch, and get that distance per stroke up. If you don't know what your distance per stroke is, start looking at it with your Garmin Speed Coach. A lot of those tools will give you a good idea of what your distance per stroke is. But our team ran at low 50s most of the race. The Dana women are low rate for as fast as they're going. I'm not sure what all the crews are at, but you're trying to increase that distance per stroke, that efficiency, especially in longer races. You're going to find that that's why some of these older teams now in the Masters, Senior Masters ranks, both men and women, are doing as well as they are against some younger teams. Is because we've just been paddling long enough, have good feel for the water, and learning that patience on the catch. So get out there, train hard, go fast, and have fun.